Writing relationship songs can be a bit tricky because there are so many of them. I mean, how many relationship songs can one person write? You tell me, Taylor Swift. Adele, I guess we're going to find out, right? But there are ways to write songs that seem like relationship songs, but they have sort of a fresh spin on them. I had one student who had this experience of living in New York City, and when she moved away from New York City, she was really bitter about it. And her friends made this observation that whenever she talked about New York City, it was like she was talking about an ex-boyfriend. And she was telling me about this in her lesson, and I said, maybe let's write a relationship song, but it's actually about your relationship with New York City. I had another student who was writing a song about grief, but she was writing it to the person who caused her the grief. But then as we talked about it, we sort of flipped it around and said, what if it's the personification of grief? We sort of created this 5-second scene where she's in this plain white room and it's just her and if grief was a person, and she's having to wrestle with grief, and she's in the presence of grief, and she knows that she can't escape grief, and grief is actually necessary but painful, and she doesn't really want to be with grief. And yet it comes across like a really interesting, compelling relationship song, rich with emotion and a little bit mysterious. So you can do that too. You can think of ways to reframe things so that other things seem like the other end of a relationship, but it's really just an object or a concept, and yet it provides a fresh perspective.